All right. Hello, everybody. This is Justin, the artist from World Breakers, coming live to you from my computer desk, studio my computer desk. Um, Recording now episode 4 of WorkTime with Justin, which lines up with the monumental episode 30 of World Breakers. Holy crap! 30 episodes. If you ever, if you're out there and you're a comic creator or a creator of any content, and you feel like you're unable to keep up on some particular project for any extended period of time, well, let me just say that if I can do it, you can do it too. Uh, this is like the longest, not the longest, but definitely the furthest along I know I've ever gotten on a project before, which is like shameful to say, but whatever, I can admit it. Phil and I have worked on a number of projects in the past, and just like based on things going on in like my life, I've had computers die, I've had to move between cities. I haven't always had the best luck. But finally, we've gotten this project going, this comic, in just like such an epic way. There's no way I'll ever stop working on World Breakers until it's done, until my hand falls off, or until it's done. And even if my hand falls off, I'll learn how to do it with the left hand or with my toes, or I don't know. Anyhow, point is, all things are possible when you believe in the power of ice cream. Am I right? So, alright, here we are, episode 30. As you can see, you're kind of getting screwed with a boring part of the comic making process this time. I'm just putting down some panels. I just finished the pencils for the episode this morning. So now it's time to do this. We're going to get into the inking maybe while I'm still talking at you. I do have a couple things I want to talk about today, so I came prepared for once. First and foremost, let's talk about how friggin' awesome this episode was. Holy crap. I was not expecting it to, become so exciting there at the end. But it did. Special thanks to Phil. When I first started working on this episode, I didn't know at the time how it was going to end, because I've caught up with Phil in the script, which is a super rare thing. That almost never happens. Phil's always light years ahead of me. But not this time. Not this time. This time I worked my little fanny off while he was probably working on some of his very, very funny YouTube videos. There's a link to those in my channel. So yeah, I caught up. Was totally surprised by how I spent the first half of the pencils for this episode just working on, how funny it is. It's so funny. The Chain Gang, these guys are ridiculous. So they're a pleasure to draw. And then I got to do a lot of cool things too, like their bikes, the setting for this whole scene with the giant bridge and all the little waterfalls and stuff. It's pretty cool. So yeah, a lot of fun this episode. A lot of humor, but then also a lot of cool action. Finally, Milo and Robin get to show off their action chops a little bit, which is a nice change of pace for them. Usually just walking, or we only get to see one little moment of something funny happening to them. So yeah, very cool, very exciting. What's next on our agenda? I wanted to tell you guys about some cool things I set up this last weekend. I don't know if you caught that I was going to be doing this, but I finally got our Patreon page up and running. Also, very super special thank you to one Miss Chloe, who was our first ever Patreon backer, or patron. Thank you so much for helping us, for helping me make this comic. Really, that's what you're doing. For those of you who don't know what Patreon is, first of all, go check it out. It's basically the coolest thing to happen to amateur creators and their fans ever. What it is it's sort of a structured system for you guys to help us make the things that we do for you by, paying us, basically. There's no there's no subtler way to put that. When you're working on something like this, you're not getting paid for it, and or at least you're not if you're on Webtoon and you're not a featured comic, which we aren't, and that's fine. I would do this for free. I have been doing it for free, so clearly I don't mind. But the problem arises when your landlord asks for money. Then you have to have it, and if you don't have a house to live in, or a computer to work on, or the internet to put the work out on, or the electricity to power it, or the food to power you, you can't keep making this stuff. And so you have to go to work. You have to get up and go. I, for one, have worked for a number of companies doing a number of things, and I've loved a majority of the jobs I've had in the past. But I'll be perfectly honest, I would rather my job was making comics. And so that's what Patreon allows all of us to do together. With your help, I'll be able to focus basically all of my time on the comic instead of on a job, and then occasionally, when I'm not too tired, coming in and working on the comic. So, go check it out. We've got a lot of cool rewards set up for those of you who do pledge to back us. And yeah, I'd say it's worth your while. What we're really going to be able to do because of the Patreon, because of you patrons, when I do get things set up for my mom and I'm no longer in this living situation and I do have to go back to work, the more backing we have, the less time I have to spend away from my comic. So we'll be able to keep the weekly schedule alive. And then long-term stretch goal, something I really, really want to accomplish, is making enough... Oh man, see what I did there? I wasn't paying enough attention and I just put all the panels down on the wrong layer. Always pay attention to layers, guys and gals. Now I've got to go back. Back. I can't go back anymore. That's fine. Always pay attention. What was I saying? My stretch goal is to be able to, once I'm not also taking care of my mom and splitting my time between my comic and her, I want to be able to get back to weekly, not just the weekly uploads, but full color episodes again. Those were great, but the only reason they were possible was I had a backlog of the comic leading up to when we started putting it up. So otherwise, that's why I had to change over to this colored intro, grayscale, the rest of the comic. I really love it when it's in colors, so hopefully you do too and want to help me make sure that can be a thing. So yeah, that's what we're aiming for with the Patreon site. Definitely check it out, see if it's for you. Even like $5 a month helps. Every little bit counts in helping us get to where we want to be, so that we can really devote ourselves to this comic and getting it out there for you. So, there's that, the Patreon. Very cool. Another cool thing I did, I set up my first ever Redbubble shop. Redbubble is a company that basically takes artists, not takes, but will take an artist's design or illustration and make it into shirts and mugs and, fancy prints for whoever wants to buy them. So that's pretty dope. So far, there is one World Breakers design available, but it's not any of the characters or anything like that. It's actually the logo for the in-universe clothing company SWA, or Spirit World Apparel. You might have seen Robin's current design includes a long sleeve SWA shirt. A couple of the citizens in Kratos wore SWA shirts and hoodies and stuff. So now you can sort of, in a subtle sort of secret club kind of way, own a little bit of World Breakers merchandise. Yeah, so check that out. The link will be in the description for this video, and it's also going to be at the tail end of every episode of the comic going forward. Same as that Patreon link. I am also using my warm-up times in the morning to work on another design, but that's a little bit of a secret. And I'm sure I'll have that to show you guys probably by the time the next episode goes up. So keep your eyes peeled. It's my favorite. It's probably one of my favorite things I've ever drawn, much less favorite things I've put up on Redbubble. Redbubble is a great, they're a great company. The products are all really high quality. I don't get a ton of money per purchase, so this isn't quite like the Patreon thing. It's not quite like I'm asking you to support me thing. This is really just me trying to put stuff out there that someone might want on a shirt or an iPhone case. I don't know. Whatevs. Check it out. And yeah, that's that. What is the last thing on my to-do agenda? I don't know. I think I need to step away for 2 seconds, but you know what? Give me a moment, and I'll be right back. Ba-doop. Okay, my apologies. Sorry, I'm back now. Getting interrupted always throws me off. What did I want to talk about? There was one last thing I wanted to sort of discuss. Something in World Breakers. Oh, I know. These really cool core-powered jet bikes that we see. This is sort of one of the first times we're seeing in comic the results of this Telvian core mining technology and what it can really do for the people in the world of World Breakers. In the world of World Breakers? Sure. The core technology that we've only kind of touched on briefly but haven't really gotten into too much detail on is super dynamic, and it is sort of due to my wanting, when this whole thing started, I didn't want to pigeonhole myself as the designer and artist, or Phil as the writer. I didn't want either of us to feel like we were working on something that's strictly fantasy or strictly science fiction. So when I was brainstorming how this story would work, I came up with this idea of the world core, and what that word specifically means you'll find out in the future. But right now, just know that core energy works in two ways, and they sort of affect the balance of how the story works, kind of. And that's that in Telvia, they use mind core energy, not like of my mind, but like you go coal mining. Well, they do core mining. Core mining is sort of forcefully taking the core energy from the planet and utilizing it to power everything. It's their form of electricity, essentially. And that powers pretty much, like I said, everything in Telvia. And it's sort of the means behind. Oh, I don't need to do this. I need to be paying more attention to the art too. My bad, everybody. Core energy. Okay. So the balance between sci-fi and fantasy is really kept by the concept of core energy, whereas in Telvia we have the mining for it, and everything that it powers or that it results in, you can consider to be sort of like science fiction-y. These flying jet bikes, or the Guardians of Telvia's equipment of all sorts, their weapons, that satellite system for the weaponry, which we will be getting into more detail on at some point in the future. Phil really wants to, he was saying, so we'll definitely be digging a bit deeper into the workings of the Guardians. But meanwhile, in Silverwood, core energy is the source of magic. It's the source of all of the fantastical sort of, the fantasy aspects in the comic that we see in Telvia, or not in Telvia, excuse me, in Silverwood, and possibly some other places, but we'll get there. So yeah, that's how it works. That's the dynamic there. Mined for core energy, that's sort of pulled out of the earth and used in like core cells and across Telvia, is sort of like the science fiction-y aspect, and then actual sort of like core I don't know if there's we don't have a technical term for it, but magic is also is the fantasy sort of aspect. And I always thought going into this that would be a really interesting way to approach things, sort of a science versus magic idea, but they both come from the same place in this case. So it'll be a lot of fun to play around with that and see where it goes in the future. I guess that's it for now. I don't want to keep umming and boring you guys and also messing up while inking. So I guess I'm going to say farewell for now, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye, y'all.